Welcome to Puff Daddy Reef. Today I'm going to be setting up a carbon and GFO reactor. So the reason why I'm setting up this carbon and GFO reactor is because my water, which has been pretty cloudy, still looks not so cloudy anymore, but it has kind of a yellowish greenish tint. And I think that might be due to something in the rocks as they're slowly curing, maybe leaching something out. So what I really want to do is clean that water up and polish it as much as I can. And I'm going to do that by using this device and filling it with carbon and GFO. Now carbon, everyone knows about that. It's a common component of aquarium filters. It can pick up lots and lots of different chemicals or pollutants or contaminants. It's very good at cleaning up the water and also making the water clear. GFO, you might not have heard of. It stands for granular ferric oxide. And granular ferric oxide is basically, it's kind of like an iron, almost like a rust type material, and it's really good at binding to phosphates. Now phosphates is one of those nutrients in the reef tank that you want to keep very low. It's a product of metabolism and all the different sorts of food and stuff that you dump in your tank. Also, there's probably some phosphates in the tank already coming out of the rocks, because the Pucani rocks from Bulk Reef Supply do have organic matter in them. In fact, they have a significant amount of sponges, at least in this set of rocks that I have. So if you don't cure your rocks ahead of time, you probably want to make sure you have something to help clean up those phosphates. And I want to try to get the water as polished as I can before I start adding coral. So I'm going to add some of this to the mix. So these little reactor containers, they come with holes that you can use to basically mount it to a wall. You can screw some screws in the wall and just hang it on the inside of the tank, much like hanging a canister for an RODI filter. I don't want to drill too many holes in my tank. I don't want to drill through that protective layer of the wood. So what I've done is I've 3D printed this little bracket, and then I zip tied it together through the holes, and I'm going to set that on the tank. So here's my sump, and where I'm thinking of putting it, I have my skimmer right there, and I'm going to put this right here. So it's going to clip on there. It's going to hold in place, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to route the tube for the return just down straight into there. I think I won't need any bends or anything. I'll just route it straight down. And then the pump for it, I'll have on the other side that will pump up into it. Oh, maybe I can't do that. I just looked and say the flow direction is that way. So maybe I won't do that. I'll do something a little bit different. Maybe I'll have some bends for it to go around. The pump that I'm going to be using is this pump here, and this is a MJ 1200. So MJ 1200 by Cobalt Aquatics, and it should be enough to run it just fine. And the great thing about it is the little spigot on that fits these push connect fittings perfectly that connect to these tubes that connect to those push connect fittings. This is a great device. And then I can just cut it to about what looks right. We'll plug it in. So here's my silly plumbing job. I really wanted to keep the pump all in that chamber downstream of the refugium because I wanted to maximize my refugium size. So it's on that other side. It goes up into it, and then down, and then back over into the sump. So that should provide enough mixing, and then I'll plug it in and get it going. But first, I gotta fill it up with carbon. So now I'm going to show you how I mix my carbon and GFO. I just used a little Tupperware container. I mixed 2 parts of carbon to 1 part of GFO. That is because the carbon has a little bit longer life than the GFO, and it helps prevent the GFO from clumping up. So I dumped that in there, and then I put the lid on and I shake it. The next thing that I'm going to do is put these little foam stoppers in the tube so that when I dump everything in, it's going to hold it all in place. So I'm putting those in, and then I'm using this device, and I cut myself right there, and that was a terrible idea. I should use something that doesn't have a sharp blade on it, so don't use that for this process, use a pen or something. So I'm just dumping it in, and I'm going to fill it up, and then I put a little too much in, so when I push it down too far, and then I have to put a little bit more in. So it takes a little bit of getting used to get the right amount in, but once you're done, you seal it off, and then it goes just right into this container, and that's it. The next step is to screw it all together. You just have to hand tighten this. You don't need to tighten it too hard. It will seal with hand tightening. Then you want to plug it in and check all the fittings. This is where I noticed the back fitting was actually leaking because I didn't push those together far enough. So I'm going to reach back there and fix that. After you do that, you want to make sure that you're flushing all of these fines into a separate bucket, not directly into your tank. The first maybe half a liter runs really cloudy, flushing out a lot of that powder, so you want to make sure you don't put that in your tank. So that's the full installation. Everything is set up and running, and it's going to start polishing my water. To give you an idea of how the polish looks over time, here is a quick shot of it right after installation, and now I'm going to go to 24 hours later. Definitely looks better to me. The water looks a lot less yellow. And here's the initial look down the tank before I had it plugged in, and 24 hours later you definitely can see farther back in the tank. I'm enjoying it, my frostbite clownfish is enjoying it, and you should too. Well, thanks for watching this video. We saw the installation of my carbon and GFO reactor on my Red Sea Reefer 650 Peninsula. We learned about the dangers of using these awesome pipe cutting tools that can easily slice off your finger. We mixed some cool powders that we can get to basically clean the water. We installed it, and it's good to go. So if you have any questions on anything I showed you, please leave a comment down there, and I will be sure to answer it. So I hope you're having a great day. Have a great day tomorrow, and happy reefing.